remember when I was in elementary school, I was kind of the runt. I was the smallest kid. I didn't blossom until I was older in life. I was always a scrawny little kid. And I was in this class, and all these other kids were probably that much taller than me. And I was the smallest, shortest, littlest kid in the class. And my best friend during that time was a young man who had flunked, I think, 2 times. So he was the tallest person in the class. And he had been kept back twice. And he was my best friend, and we sat together. He sat in front of me, and I sat behind him. And when I went to school back in those days, it was still allowed that teachers could spank the children. Now, I know you probably don't believe that, but it's true. I was spanked quite a few times. And in class back then, I remember my friend, I had done something the teacher said not to do, and I don't even remember to this day what it was. But I remember the teacher calling a whole class up front in a line. Now picture this, we're all standing in a line. Here I am, the shortest of all the students. Everybody else is, that much taller than me. And I'm standing next to my best friend, and he's that much taller than all the other students. I mean, what a sight. The smallest kid in the class and the tallest guy in the class. And the teacher had a stick. She had a long wooden dowel. And she said, I've told you all not to do this, and someone's going to get 3 licks. In those days, when you got a spanking, they called it a lick. And they said, you're going to get 3 licks. So whoever did this right now, step forward. And when she said that, I knew it was me. And I knew nobody else saw what I did except my friend, who was way taller than me. And I knew I was guilty. I knew that I had committed that horrible, heinous act. And that I deserved punishment. I deserved those 3 licks. I deserved the chastisement. And I remember stepping forward, and I was about to step forward, and when I did, this hand reached out in front of me and pushed me back. I can still feel his hand going like this and pushing me back. And my friend stepped forward, and he said, Teacher, I did it. And I looked at him like, what are you doing? You know I did it. You saw me do it. What are you doing lying and saying? And I looked at him, and he kind of looked back at me and just nodded his head, or just kind of shook his head like, don't say anything. And I watched the teacher bend him over a desk and give him my 3 licks. They were meant for me. They were my licks. And that teacher spanked him for something that I did. And when that happened, I remember little tears welling up in my eyes, and I remember thinking, wow, why did you do that for me? So we all sat back down, and then I asked him later, I said, why'd you do that? Why would you do that? You knew that I was guilty and that I deserved that spanking. Why would you do that for me? He looked at me and he says, well, you're the smallest one in class and I'm the biggest one in class. He says, I know you couldn't take it. And I know that I was bigger and it wouldn't hurt me as much, so I took it for you. Whew. You know what that is? That's grace. And you know what that taught me? You know what that instilled in me? I didn't look at that as, well, that means I can do whatever I want, and he's always going to take it for me. That thought never entered into my mind. All that entered in my mind was what love, what grace he had for me. And it made me love him more, and it made me want to serve him. The whole rest of that year, if he came to class without a pencil, hey, take mine, whatever you need, man, I'm here for you. I love you because you did that for me. Sometimes he'd come to class, he didn't have any paper. Here, take some paper. Here, take the whole notebook. Hey, for what you did for me that time, man, whatever you want, it's yours. I'm going to serve you because what you did for me, I didn't deserve. Now, you put that into the Bible. You put that into salvation. You look at Jesus Christ. He died in my place for my sins. He took my licks that I deserved. When I look at Jesus Christ and His grace and dying in my place for my sins, I don't say, wow, now I can abuse that and now I can go do whatever I want. I look at what Jesus Christ did for me and I say, wow, whatever you want, Jesus. That should have been me on that cross. That should have been me dying and suffering the pain and the anguish and the bloodshed. But you did it in my place. Whatever you want, God, I'll serve you.